Welcome to Liberty Today, the home of unfair and unbalanced news and views. Sam Kephart is here today with a roster of rising Republican stars. Nick Reed continues his analysis of the Russia-Ukraine situation. And Bob Ellis discusses the ongoing betrayal of Republican values by party leaders.
It's going to be a lively political season. This new group of rising stars in the Republican Party is creating some interest in the presidential race. Sam Kephart, you always create some interest. What are your thoughts about these rising stars, and who do you think is the likely nominee? Do you have a choice at this point?
Well, I would have said Christie, but I think he's damaged goods at this point. I think it's going to be hard for him to overcome that. Not impossible. So I'm leaving open room that he pulls a rabbit out of the hat, but I would say looks like he's damaged goods for this cycle.
CPAC gave it to Rand Paul hands down. Do you think that's a fair barometer, or do you think it's an organization and an event where the Rand Paul people just have the organization to take it over and win that little race?
I think it's a stacked deck for Rand Paul. I don't think that's a fair barometer, the CPAC.
Well, when
because he brings a lot of young people in that are libertarian skewed, so the vote is libertarian skewed. Now, I lean or skew libertarian for sure and constitutionalist for sure, but I think it's perhaps overdone in that straw poll.
So you don't think it's going to be Rand Paul?
No, not at this point.
Okay. What do you think about Governor Perry, Governor Palin, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, some of those folks?
I think Rubio is not as toast as people think is, because that whole Hispanic vote, you travel around the United States, which I've done a lot of the last year or so, the rising undertone of whether you like it or not, and whether it's good or not for the country, but the Hispanic influence is there. It is rising. It's waxing. It's not waning. So I think to write off a Marco Rubio is probably a big dangerous thing to do right now.
Okay, now, and you're talking about that influence in the Republican primary, not in the general election, because there's a distinct difference.
I would say both. Obviously more in the general, but in the primary, if they can get them out, because typically they're not as strong in the
Yes.
primary as they are in the general. But then you've got Jeb Bush, who also can appeal to Hispanics. But I don't want to do another Bush under any circumstance. It's like, I don't want a third Bush.
Well, they say the third time's the charm.
No. And from what I understand, he was a competent governor, nice guy. I'm done with the Bushes. Sorry.
Well, I think a lot of people feel that way. I'm interested in the animosity with which the Republican Party leaders seem to focus on Ted Cruz. That's intriguing to me.
Well, Ted Cruz is not afraid to politically, verbally throw a Molotov cocktail, and I really admire that about him. I want to see
more.
That's
a little like someone else we know.
I want to see a little more about what his plans are, actual track.
Well, speaking of plans, what about Paul Ryan? He had a plan.
My issue with Paul Ryan is, I think at the end of the day, he has too many marionette strings to the traditional Republican power structure at the end of the day. So in other words, he looks and talks more conservative, but I think at the end of the day, he's kissing butt with the folks behind the curtain. It's my opinion.
Dances to
right.
Different
It's
drum.
my opinion. My opinion.
Well, we value that.
Yeah,
that's why you're here.
So, nice guy, articulate, obviously clean cut and all that stuff. But I think when it's all said and done, he's in the grips of the big boys.
We're going to see some gargantuan events in this next election. Not just the presidential primary, but these primaries and the general for U.S. Senate. In South Dakota, former Governor Mike Rounds is in this race to win it. What do you think he's going to do? Will he win?
I think he will, simply because people will be scared to take a chance on anybody else. A. B. He's got the big war chest.
Well, I don't know how much money he's got right now, but it's a significant amount, isn't it?
Well, his spend. I mean, he has booked millions of dollars. Whether it's spent or not, I don't know. But the point is, the other people, 100,000, 60,000, 80,000, whatever. It's chump change. It's not the sales tax on what he's raised.
That's a good point. Well, it's an uphill battle. Some people say it's Mike Rounds to lose.
I agree with that.
Anything can happen between now and then. But certainly, we have some challenges in the United States Senate and in the White House, don't we?
Yes.
What's the biggest one? What's the biggest challenge? Just give our viewers one last shot.
Articulating a cogent, exciting vision.
It's been a while since the Republicans have done that in the presidential primaries or the general.
You can't tell me someone that's doing it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching.